Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon will release on August 25th, From Software has revealed. This confirmation of the previously leaked Armored Core 6 release date arrived at the end of an extended gameplay trailer showcasing some jaw-dropping boss fights from the upcoming mech action game. From Software originally announced Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon in December 2022, but has shared precious little information about the project ever since. The last installment in the mech combat series was Armored Core Verdict Day, which released for the PS3 and Xbox 360 a decade ago. The newly launched gameplay trailer indicates that Fires of Rubicon will stay true to the Armored Core formula despite being a soft reboot of the long-running franchise. The environments of Planet Rubicon 3 seen in the video hence seem just as bleak as the past game's settings, though it would appear that the boss battles in the upcoming title will be getting even more grandiose. Not least because some of the enemies featured in the new trailer are so big that they can barely fit into the frame. The boss designs themselves have also gotten a bit more varied compared to Verdict Day, as suggested by a fight with a giant mech sandworm. In terms of equipment, the new trailer confirms that energy swords, flamethrowers, and grease guns will be part of the package. The video also suggests that players will be able to switch between shoulder-mounted artillery and melee weapons at will. While that's similar to the previous installments, Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon will seemingly place a much bigger emphasis on melee combat, which has been prominently featured throughout the new trailer. Alongside Armored Core 6's release date, new information about the mech game's combat has been shared by the game's director Masaru Yamamura in an interview with PlayStation Blog. Along with the typical Armored Core medley of aerial and ground warfare, Yamamura mentioned some key new combat features that are bound to get fans of Armored Core and Souls-like games excited. With the title featuring both ranged and melee combat, an ability called Assault Boost will help players quickly close the distance on an enemy, going from ranged fire to melee attacks in the process. Yamamura also expressed the potential for different combos to be weaved into this skill as well, with players still being able to fire machine guns and missiles during the skill. Another element that's new to Armored Core 6 is the ability to stagger enemies. Much like in some of From Software's Souls titles such as Dark Souls and Elden Ring, players who deal enough damage to an enemy within a short period of time can stagger it and have an opportunity at a critical blow. While it's unknown if Armored Core 6's stagger gauge will be visible to the player or if critical attacks to a staggered enemy will have a dedicated animation like in Elden Ring. The combat feature seems to be one inspired by the studio's deep and more recent history with Souls titles. Additionally, Yamamura mentioned that Armored Core 6's boss fights will be challenging, with players needing to learn and grow familiar with a boss's moves to be successful. While the Armored Core 6 experience will be very different from that of a Souls-like title, it looks like there will be some similarities and learnings from those games that From Software will be implementing in this 6th Armored Core installment. There will likely be a lot more combat details revealed leading up to Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon's much-anticipated release. A new announcement from Armored Core 6 developer From Software has revealed the Arena mode is returning for the 6th installment. Among other announcements, the massive reveal for Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon would confirm the return of the franchise's Arena game mode for its newest entry. Arena has been a staple of Armored Core since nearly the beginning of the series, first debuting with Armored Core Project Phantasma on the PS1 in 1997. From Software promises fierce battles against a wide array of specially customized mechs within Armored Core 6's Arena mode. The mode will reportedly be featured as a combat aptitude evaluation program, featuring simulated versions of mechs players will fight throughout the story. Alongside the Arena details, From Software revealed plenty of other content coming to Armored Core 6 later this year. The game is set to feature a variety of imposing bosses ranging from attack helicopters and armored turrets to unmanned heavy demolition machinery, promising explosive and fast-paced battles. Armored Core 6 will reportedly follow its predecessors in placing a heavy focus on customization, allowing players to gear their ACs with different weapons to suit their own personal playstyle. The base version of Armored Core 6 will retail for $60, which is a little surprising considering the recent influx of increased prices on most AAA titles, with Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom being the most obvious recent offender. But if Armored Core fans want to go above and beyond, they can purchase Armored Core 6's Collector's Edition for $230. Though that price is definitely on the high side, it's tied to what is arguably one of the better collector's editions in recent years. For $230, Armored Core fans are getting an incredibly sleek steelbook case, featuring a silver-colored background with a mech outline etched into its surface. The Armored Core 6 Collector's Edition also comes with a digital soundtrack, and while it hasn't been officially confirmed just yet, it's likely that composer Kota Hoshino will once again be working on the score, having worked on just about every From Software project since Armored Core 2. The Armored Core 6 Collector's Edition comes with another handful of physical goodies, all of which look pretty high quality. The least exciting pack-in is the 45 sheets of stickers, all of which seem to depict the different emblems in the game that can be used during mech customization. A 40-page art book, a staple of modern-day collector's editions, can also be found in this version of the game. A set of 4 pin badges, seemingly packaged in a neat little case, are also part of Armored Core SXS Collector's Edition. But by far the most integral part of this collector's edition is the 19 centimeters tall Armored Core statue, depicting one of the game's iconic mechs. If fans really wanted to splash the cash, then for an extra $220 they could get the Armored Core 6 Premium Edition, which comes with everything just mentioned. And a 32 centimeters Armored Core garage that acts as a display unit for the Armored Core statue. It's also important to state that the Armored Core 6 Collector's Edition does in fact come with the game itself. That would normally be an obvious statement, but recently the gaming industry has been testing the waters with gameless collector's editions, with Gotham Knights and Diablo 4 being recent examples. Thankfully every version of Armored Core 6 comes with the game, and if fans pre-order any version of the game, then they should receive a Melender C3G13 special customization tenderfoot bonus. This pre-order bonus unlocks the Melender C3's parts early, along with its unique emblem and a special customization decal. The gaming industry's usual release schedule has undergone some noticeable changes in the last few years. It used to be the case that the vast majority of big AAA titles wanted to schedule their release windows for the holiday period, usually around October or November. While this still often happens, a lot of publishers have started spacing their games out more evenly throughout the year, trying to avoid competition where possible. This change in the industry is what led games like Elden Ring and Horizon Forbidden West to release at the start of 2022. As mentioned, some of the most anticipated titles of 2023 have arrived only 4 months into the year. May is set to bring even more heavy hitters to the table, with The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Redfall being the biggest standouts. And smaller titles like LEGO 2K Drive coming to support them. June is even busier, with Street Fighter 6, Diablo 4, and Final Fantasy 16 all competing for players' time. As things stand, July is lighter on releases right now, with Immortals of Avium, Sea of Stars and Pikmin 4 being the only real highlights. But with Armored Core 6 announcing its August release date, things are starting to heat up for the latter half of the year. Currently, that month only sees Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Lies of P, which opens up the doorway nicely for Armored Core 6. The Armored Core franchise has always been on the more niche side, and even with From Software's newfound brand recognition attached, Armored Core 6 might be facing an uphill battle. Hopefully this August release date gives it a chance to breathe, though it doesn't have long. September could end up being one of the busiest months of the year for gaming. Right now, Starfield is set to launch on September 6, 2023, giving Armored Core 6 just a week to break through the market. If the release date rumors are true, then Marvel's Spider-Man 2 might not be too far behind it, setting up an incredibly exciting late 2023 for gamers. Sony revealed new exclusive designs for PlayStation 5 console covers and DualSense controllers to celebrate the upcoming launch of Final Fantasy 16, but they will only be available to a selection of lucky players. Final Fantasy 16, the latest installment in Square Enix's popular RPG franchise, is scheduled to release worldwide in June 2023 for the PlayStation 5 as a timed exclusive. Final Fantasy 16 takes place in Valisthea, a world divided into 6 nations each housing a dominant, humans who contain a powerful creature called an icon. The main character of Final Fantasy 16, Clive Rosefield, is not one of the dominant but watches over his younger brother Joshua who contains the icon Phoenix. As they travel across Valisthea to try and bring peace to the land and defeat the dark icon Ifrit, Clive and Joshua are joined on their journey by their childhood friend Jill Warwick. Just like previous Final Fantasy games, the gameplay revolves around a mix of melee and magic attacks, with the player able to summon icons in the battle to help defeat bigger foes. As players are getting ready to pre-order Final Fantasy XVI and access it on its June launch day, Sony revealed new themed designs for the PS5 console covers and DualSense controllers. The console covers are black with a golden design of the Final Fantasy XVI logo, while the controllers bear the same color scheme with designs on both handles and the touchpad. However, these exclusive Final Fantasy XVI PS5 designs won't be available to all players, as they are only available in Japan and in limited quantity. PS5 covers cost 7,980 yen, or about $60, while the themed DualSense controllers are listed at 8,980 yen, which roughly amounts to $67. The pre-orders for both of these elements begin on May 4th. While all Final Fantasy XVI players won't be able to get their hands on these PS5 covers and themed DualSense controllers, fans of the franchise can still pre-order the PS5 console Final Fantasy XVI bundle. Pre-orders begin on May 4th on the official PlayStation website, with a worldwide release on June 22nd. This bundle includes a default PS5 with a code to download Final Fantasy XVI, but doesn't feature any custom design inspired by Square Enix's upcoming RPG. Unlike previous entries in the franchise, Final Fantasy XVI put the emphasis on exploration with the addition of a new side character giving players incentives for discovering Valisthea and its inhabitants. Those who prefer to focus on quests will discover a darker and more mature story than in previous Final Fantasy games, with a war-torn world under the threats of powerful creatures. The PlayStation VR 2 will be available in local stores soon, which is excellent news for gamers who want to acquire the new VR headset. According to Sony's financial reports, the PSVR 2 is slightly behind in sales, and this move could help Sony to push the product forward and meet the expected results. Released back in February, the PSVR 2 has sold 270,000 in a month, and we didn't get any updated sales figures in the financial report, which is disappointing. Now, Sony has announced that local retailers will be selling PlayStation VR 2 headsets soon. However, it's still unclear how many stores will get the products in the coming weeks. According to the announcement, gamers should check with local stores to see the availability of the product. PSVR 2 has a solid list of games right now. Some of the most immersive PSVR 2 games include Horizon Call of the Mountain, Kayak VR Mirage, Resident Evil Village and Gran Turismo 7, for example. So, PlayStation gamers who still do not own the headset could potentially get a pretty good and varied experience, especially if they do not own any other VR gadget yet. Liam McIntyre, the voice actor of Marcus Phoenix's son JD Phoenix in the Gears of War franchise, has disappointing news for fans who are eagerly awaiting the next installment in the series. The most recent mainline Gears of War title to be released was Gears 5 in 2019 and was considered a solid entry into Xbox's popular third-person shooter Gorefest. With the acclaimed Hivebusters DLC following just over a year later in 2020. Since then, Gears developer The Coalition has been working closely with Epic Games to develop 2 short tech demos using Epic's brand new Unreal Engine 5. The Matrix Awakens demo Shadow dropped on the night of the Game Awards 2021 and just last April The Coalition's The Caverns demo debuted. Both projects impressed gamers with high-quality character models and graphical fidelity. In the past The Coalition has always shown it's been ahead of the curve when it comes to mastering Unreal. And with the engine's 5th iteration the developers have once again flexed their prowess with Epic Games tech. That said, many Gears and Xbox fans feel it's time for the studio to channel that Unreal expertise into its next project. In an interview with Dexerto, JD Phoenix's voice actor Liam McIntyre expressed that he has yet to hear anything from the Coalition regarding Gears of War 6. Since JD Phoenix has been such an important character as the son of franchise icon Marcus Phoenix, fans would be expecting him to be in the next installment of the series. However, those who have played Gears 5 know that near the end of the game players can choose to save either JD or Del Walker from the clutches of Queen Mira. Perhaps the Coalition decided to move ahead with JD's death as the canon choice for Gears 6, thus excluding McIntyre from production. However, if this were the case, McIntyre would likely have still been informed about it as a major cast member of the franchise. Gears 6 not yet entering production makes sense when considering that in 2021 it was reported that the Coalition was working on a new IP, pushing the 6th Gears installment further down the road. However, earlier this year it's been rumored that the Coalition has cancelled 2 games and moved on to Gears 6 instead. If this is the case, it would mean Gears 6 could likely still be in pre-production without the need to get voice actors involved yet. It would also mean that Gears 6 is still several years away. While the Coalition's current project is still very much a mystery, perhaps Gears fans will gain some clarity when Xbox holds its games showcase in June. PlayStation 5 shipped 19 million units in the fiscal year ending March 31, 2023, ahead of Sony's original target of 18 million. The milestone was announced alongside Sony's full-year financial results, which also showed sharp rises in game sales. Sony's Game and Network Services division, which handles PlayStation, was once again the largest revenue driver for the company, thanks to increased sales of both hardware and software. In fact, GN&S sales were 50% higher than those of Sony's next biggest segment, entertainment, technology and services. Game software generated 1.7 trillion yen, $12.5 billion, up 13%, the majority of which was from add-on content at 862 billion yen, $6.3 billion, up 1%. Physical game sales generated 193.4 billion yen, $1.4 billion, up 50%, while digital full game sales generated 660.9 billion yen, $5 billion, up 16%. 67% of all game sales were digital, a slight uptick on the 66% from the previous fiscal year. In addition to the 19 million PS5 units, 264.2 million full games were sold in the 12-month period, down from 303.2 million the previous year. 43.5 million first-party games sold, just shy of the 43.9 million managed in the previous fiscal year. The company noted that while first-party title sales were higher than the previous year, there has been a decrease in sales of third-party games and add-on content. PlayStation also saw its operating income impacted by increasing costs of development, as well as the recording of expenses associated with acquisitions, including Bungie. Looking specifically at Q4, 3 months ending March 31, 2023, game sales revenues were up 61% and PS5 unit sales were up a whopping 215% to 6.3 million. Ampere Analysis Piers Harding Rolls notes that this is not just a record January to March quarter for Sony's hardware sales, but for any console, and over 2 times as many units as PS4 ever sold in the same period. With supply issues resolved, Sony expects stronger hardware sales in its next financial year, and the hardware is expected to become more profitable, which will boost operating income. Sony plans to sell 25 million units of PlayStation 5 into retail in the current fiscal year. The company's chief financial officer Hiroki Totoki revealed the target during an earnings call, transcribed by Seeking Alpha, following its solid results published this morning, saying it would be the highest ever for any PS console in history. Last financial year, ending March 31, 2023. Sony initially aimed to ship 18 million PS5 units, but as it overcame supply issues and ramped up production, it managed to reach 19 million. The PlayStation becomes the first brand to sell 500 million home consoles in history, making a fascinating record to behold for now, the past and the future to come. In terms of what will drive PlayStation's business in the year ahead, Totoki highlighted Marvel's Spider-Man 2 as a major release, and said the platform holder will continue to create new IP and roll out catalog titles for PC. During the later Q&A session, one analyst asked for more detail on how Sony hopes to reach this 25 million target. The reason why we believe that this is possible is, PS4 customers exist now and the PS4 usage use them and they switch to PS5, Totoki replied. We looked at how much would be switching, and there are also new customers, and we've been looking that. Based on the data, we believe that 25 million units within this fiscal year is something that we would believe that we can achieve. When asked about the future of games consoles, Totoki said that having some kind of hardware at hand is necessary, although noted that some of the computing power could be in the cloud in future. In any case, some kind of a client would be necessary to enjoy different games. But with the evolution of technologies and the hardware that matches the times, providing that type of hardware will create value. Finally, he was asked why PlayStation's revenues are rising but its profits are in decline. One is the game development costs are going up, Totoki explained. And also from a technical standpoint, the acquisition-related costs are increasing this term. The game development cost is going up because of the following reasons: the first-party software development is going to be strengthened, and the live services will be launched. And intentionally, we are enhancing this part. So that is why the expenses are increasing. That's all. The financials were great for PlayStation, firing on all cylinder. There seems to be a statement that Spider-Man 2 is the only first-party release in this fiscal year, which is a statement to consider. Sure, they are gonna have third-party deals like FF16, Silent Hill 2 Remake, Stellar Blade, FF7 Rebirth, Rise of the Ronin and so on. But releasing only one first-party game for a year is not acceptable, and at the same time it is necessary for the games to be shipped when they are ready. It'll be interesting to see what the PlayStation Showcase brings to the table for the next year. I need Factions gameplay, Wolverine and other first-party studios to show up with their games. Speaking of the PS5, the PlayStation 5 Pro could be on the way sooner than expected, as recent rumors suggest Sony would be shipping PS5 Pro dev kits to first-party developers in the upcoming months. This new console would be an upgraded version of the current PlayStation 5, improving its technical capacities to run demanding games with no hiccups. Rumors began spreading about the release of a new version of the PlayStation 5 in March, with some reports suggesting that the PS5 Pro was in active development. Sources claimed that Sony has been working on a new version of its popular console for a while, with the PS5 Pro being further along than most would anticipate. While Sony hasn't announced the PS5 Pro yet and therefore didn't mention the kind of improvements this new mid-generation console could provide. Patents published by PlayStation architect Mark Cerny suggest that Sony is looking for ways to improve ray tracing performances in its upcoming games. According to Insider Gaming, the PS5 Pro is currently in development and Sony expects to send PS5 dev kits prototypes to first-party developers in the next couple of months. Third-party developers will have to wait a little longer, as reports suggest they could receive PS5 dev kits by the end of the year. While the exact specifics of these PS5 Pro development kit prototypes are not yet revealed, more information about the PS5 Pro could be unveiled in the upcoming months as developers discover the new capacities of this upgraded console. After months of components shortage delaying the global distribution of the PlayStation 5, Sony managed to outpace the sales of the PlayStation 4 with its next-gen consoles. Following months of doubts regarding the potential release of a PS5 Pro, the distribution of the development kits seemed to indicate Sony will keep on with its tradition of releasing mid-generation consoles, improving the default version of its hardware, just like it did with the PS4 Pro 3 years after the release of the PS4. While the exact improvements brought by the PS5 Pro remain a mystery, some leakers already shared the potential release window of this upgraded Sony console. Sony is seemingly looking to launch the PS5 Pro by the end of 2024, aiming at a release in time for the holiday. Besides this new version of its popular console, Sony would also launch new accessories for the PS5 as well as a handheld device and a new PS5 with a detachable disc drive. In under 18 months, PlayStation has announced 3 studio acquisitions, all dedicated to live service games. It started with a big one in January last year, Destiny developer Bungie. It followed that with Haven Studios in March, and just last week it revealed it would be picking up Firewalk Studios. It's all part of Sony's aim to broaden out from the single-player, narrative adventure games that it's best known for, although don't worry, they're still being made, too. In fact, the company says it has 10 live service games in the work. Yet live service games, typically, take up a huge amount of time and attention. Surely Sony can't expect all 10 products to be successful? The cynic in me can't help but feel that the company is hedging its bets, knowing that the majority of those 10 won't make it, but hoping 1 or 2 strike it big. Yet PlayStation Studios head Hermen Hulst was keen to remind me that live service doesn't automatically mean the company is making 10 Fortnites or Destinies. We understand the competitive environment that is out there, and the time investment from players that live services offer, Hulst tells. And we want to deliver the highest quality games. There is a risk that we talk about live service in generic terms, as if it is a single genre, or even a single business model. PlayStation Studios are making a variety of games that could be referred to as live services, targeting different genres, different release schedules, and at different scales. We are also creating games for different audiences, and I take confidence from our track record in creating worlds and stories that PlayStation fans love. Hulst is talking to us shortly after the news that it's acquiring Firewalk Studios. PlayStation announced it would be partnering with Firewalk on its first game back in April 2021. Yet, just like it did with Haven Studios last year, PlayStation has decided to acquire the team even before it's released a game. Every studio relationship has its own trajectory. In some cases we have worked with companies for many years as external partners before bringing them into SIE, in other instances an acquisition has come around more quickly, Hulst explains. It depends on what the studio needs to grow and succeed, and what makes sense for both sides. We have been working closely with Firewalk for a while now. We have both really enjoyed that process, and we have incredible confidence in what they are creating. So this felt like a very natural step. So what is it that PlayStation can offer? Tony Su, studio head at Firewalk, says the company has no plans to expand much beyond the 150 employees. But there are other benefits to being part of the PlayStation team. The priority for each studio is to deliver their own project, to make the best game that they can, Hulst continues. There's a risk that we talk about live service in generic terms, as if it is a single genre, or even a single business model. But PlayStation Studios works as a global network of studios and central technology and service teams. We work hard to offer an environment where teams can collaborate on anything they wish to, whether that is game design, audio, animation, or anything else. Live services bring new and complex challenges, so it's incredibly valuable to have individuals and teams who have been through those and can offer help and advice to others. Of course, one of those teams includes Bungie, which is significant because many of the founders of Firewalk are actually former Bungie employees. Tony Su was actually the general manager and senior vice president of Destiny at Activision. Within our team we have close personal and professional relationships with Bungie and are excited to be part of the same family of studios, Su says. One of the benefits of becoming part of PlayStation Studios is having the opportunity to exchange knowledge with such an amazing network of development talent, including our friends and close neighbors in Bellevue and Seattle. We're excited to join them and PlayStation Studios teams like Haven Interactive in creating and advancing innovative multiplayer experiences. An interesting side note on the game that Firewalk is making is that it's not technically going to be a PS5 exclusive, as the game is also being simultaneously developed for PC. It makes business sense to launch live service titles across multiple platforms, as it gives the title a larger addressable market in which to build an audience. Is this an approach Sony might be making with all its service-based titles? Hulst remains Koei. We have made significant progress delivering games on PC in recent years, so where it makes sense for the game and the studio, it's a great option to have. But it's a decision that we will make for each individual game. Firewalk joining PlayStation means it bids farewell to Probably Monsters, which is a collective of AAA studios that was all about doing things differently. Harold Ryan, the CEO and president of the team, aimed to create a workplace where developers can thrive and have lifelong careers making games they love and are proud of. The decision to sell Firewalk to PlayStation doesn't contradict that, Ryan tells. He says that Hulst matches his own views in terms of building teams with a positive culture, while investing in new IPs. Firewalk joining the PlayStation family is a step in our mission to bring new AAA game teams and new AAA IP to life and proof that by uniting, guiding and empowering talented teams with a focus on culture, we will succeed. We have 2 other announced teams and, of course, other unannounced projects in the works. In our goal to find the best path to market for all of our teams and games, we're on track for what we're trying to achieve with Probably Monsters. He adds, we will continue to invest in building new AAA development teams while improving the environment in which games are being made as we increase our positive impact in the industry. Su concludes that leaving Probably Monsters and being part of PlayStation, a company it has been working with for over 2 years, won't change what the studio is all about. We've been fortunate to be able to establish our own independent culture and development philosophy, thanks in large part to the support of our partners, both at Probably Monsters and PlayStation, he says. From the very beginning, Hermen and the entire leadership group at PlayStation have been fantastic advocates for our team, our culture, and our vision. Joining PlayStation Studios will only further empower our unique approach to making games. Let's see when they showcase the product they've made. Games firm Koei Tecmo saw its net sales reach $588.5 million throughout the fiscal year of 2022. Koei Tecmo sold 9.64 million units globally throughout the fiscal year of 2022, up 18.6% year-on-year. Throughout the year, the publisher released titles such as Atelier Ryza 3 Alchemist of the End and the Secret Key, and Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Towards the tail end of the fiscal year, the games firm released Wild Hearts and Will Long Fallen Dynasty. While Koei Tecmo didn't provide sales figures for both, Executive Vice President Hisashi Koinuma said they were priority titles for the firm's third medium-term management plan. The plan, covering the fiscal years of 2022 to 2024, outlined projected sales and priority goals such as a new IP reaching 5 million copies sold. In terms of overall game sales, Japan made up 49% of Koei Tecmo's game sales as it pulled in 38.4 billion yen, $288 million. Whereas overseas markets made up 51% with 40 billion yen, $300 million. Looking ahead, the games firm said that for the fiscal year of 2023, revenue would hit 95 billion yen, $713 million, up 21% year-over-year. While Long Fallen Dynasty has sold 1M copies, the Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo's title launched on March 3 and has now reached 3.8 million players. Mega Man Battle Network Collection's top 1M sold, the multi-platform compilations of Capcom's GBA spin-off series reach worldwide sales milestone. Ampere Analysis has determined that EA was the top publisher for monthly active users, MAUs, on Xbox and PlayStation consoles from September 2022 through January 2023. The data and analytics firm today released the results of its engagement tracking over that period, showing the MAU share of the top 7 publishers over that span. Activision Blizzard's engagement bump on that graph coincides with the November 2022 release of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, while Sony's bump in the same month lines up with the launch of God of War Ragnarok. Ampere Analysis Research Director Piers Hardingroll said, EA's consistency in delivering active user share across consoles is commendable. While Fortnite remains the title to beat, EA's extensive catalog puts it in a strong position across Xbox and PlayStation. As for specific games, Ampere said FIFA 23 led all titles in engagement, with users playing on 35% of days for the month of February. Final Fantasy XIV came in second with user engagement on 31% of days, and Genshin Impact was third with 30%. A recent Sega financial report reveals the company's plans to release at least 12 non-mobile platform games for the 2023-24 fiscal year. Sega has had a rather impressive 2022-2023 fiscal year, which was noted in the parent company's results presentation from last week. The whole company had a solid performance in terms of sales, reporting on the games that had the best sales in that period, along with insights for future games released by the publisher. Sega reports its strongest-selling games were Persona 5 Royal and Sonic Frontiers, the former being a port of Atlas JRPG to several platforms including the Nintendo Switch and PC, with the latter being a brand new 3D multi-platform Sonic the Hedgehog game. Both Persona 5 Royal and Sonic Frontiers had crossed impressive milestones in the 2022 fiscal year, with Persona 5 Royal's port selling over 1.7 million units and Sonic Frontiers closing out 2023 with over 3.2 million units. In terms of Sega's upcoming library of games, the company expects the sales of new games to increase. For the current fiscal year, starting after March 2023 and lasting until the end of March 2024, Sega plans to expand its efforts to have global simultaneous multi-platform launches. It states that the plan includes 12 non-mobile related games, which include games like the upcoming Sonic Origins Plus, like a Dragon Gaiden spin-off, Endless Dungeon, and more. There are also a number of games that have yet to be announced. The company expects to sell 12 million units combined. The English version of the article has a typo that lists 1.2 million units, with the Japanese version containing the correct figure. The company also lists a number of games that will be re-releases of older games that will sell about 5 million units combined. This includes the remaster of Samba de Amigo, the Etrian Odyssey Origins Collection, and the aforementioned Sonic Origins Plus package. Sega also states it will support live service and other AAA games that were released in the past year, such as Football Manager 2022 and Persona 5 Royals Remaster. According to Sega, the company has been planning to transition its IPs into being more global, with this strategy reportedly moving into the next stage. The company also discusses the acquisition of Finnish studio Rovio, which Sega hopes to work with the developer in shifting mobile game priorities. More specifically, it plans on using Rovio's knowledge in mobile gaming to bring both new and old titles to the format. A new teaser trailer for Funko Fusion showcases the many characters and worlds that will be colliding in the upcoming game. Everything from Back to the Future to The Thing and so many more franchises will be making appearances. Funko Pops are some of the most popular collectible figures in the world, with more than 8,000 designs covering nearly every pop culture character one can imagine. Many people go absolutely wild for these chibi-like vinyl figurines, with some Funko Pops going for hundreds of dollars. Now the successful collectibles are coming to the video game world, and the new teaser trailer shows off a taste of all the different names that can come together in Funko Fusion. The teaser trailer hit the internet recently with a laundry list of characters and references that are worth exploring. Characters from sci-fi franchises like Battlestar Galactica and Back to the Future can be seen alongside characters from horror franchises like The Mummy and The Thing. Just a few other references include Jurassic World and Child's Play. If the teaser gives off vibes similar to the popular LEGO games, that would likely be because 1010, the studio developing Funko Fusion, is run by former TT Games developers. TT Games was originally set to develop a Funko game along with other major IPs like a LEGO Disney game before many of its projects were cancelled. It's unknown at this point just how similar Funko Fusion will be to the many LEGO games currently out there, since the trailer doesn't actually show off too much in the way of gameplay. It definitely feels like it wants to recreate a similar feel but with a more mature tone. It only makes sense, considering how many R-rated franchises are being represented by this game, that it wants to capture an older audience. The cutesy look of the Funkos seems to be only surface deep, and the teaser has its fair share of violence and dismemberment. There is no confirmation on just how many franchises will be present in Funko Fusion as of right now. Hundreds of different movies, shows, comics, and even real-life celebrities like Paul Heyman have Funko Pop figures and could potentially be represented in the game, but of course, the licensing for such a thing likely isn't a simple task. The game is set to arrive sometime next year, and more information about gameplay and other included worlds should be coming out as development continues. Funko Fusion is coming to PC and consoles in 2024. It looks interesting, the visuals look good and really fun. Gamescom confirmed today that Nintendo will be among the companies in attendance at its gaming convention later this year. Gamescom typically brings in well over 300,000 avid video game fans a year to its show floor, so it's unsurprising that Nintendo would have its presence felt at the show for the second year straight. Taking place in Cologne, Germany, Gamescom is recognized as the largest gaming convention in the world. Nintendo returned to Gamescom in 2022 after taking an absence from the show during the COVID pandemic, so many expected another appearance from the Switch manufacturer at this year's celebration. But after reviewing what was revealed for the Switch in 2022, fans may want to temper their expectations for the event. 17 Switch titles were announced during last year's Gamescom Future Games show, and none of them were first-party software from Nintendo itself. There's no hint as to what Nintendo is bringing to Gamescom. While Nintendo confirmed it will not be attending the now-defunct E3 2023. Many still expect the publisher to debut a fresh Nintendo Direct around that June timeframe to promote what's expected to arrive through the 12 months. Anything newly announced within that hypothetical Direct could very well be on display at the Germany-hosted event in late August. Nintendo could also have a presence within Jeff Keighley's Summer Game Fest, though nothing has been announced to date. At some point, the company will need to unveil what its plans are for first-party software in the near future. Once The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom releases on May 12, the cupboard appears pretty bare. Pikmin 4 is set to release on July 21, before Gamescom. Pokémon Scarlet and Violet have DLC planned for later this year, as does Mario Kart 8. Detective Pikachu 2 is said to be nearly complete, and Metroid Prime 4 remains looming, but few expect that in 2023. Nintendo does have a handful of rumored Nintendo Switch games in the works. There have been whispers of a new Donkey Kong game. Mario Kart 8 arrived for the Wii U in 2014, so Mario Kart 9 could be surprise announced seemingly anytime. And Switch owners seem overdue for a new Super Mario title, whether 2D or 3D, especially after the Super Mario Bros. Movie's dominance at the box office this month. Crash Bandicoot could one day boast its own theatrical release, as the main developer behind more recent games in the series expresses its interest in bringing the franchise to the silver screen. Meanwhile, fans are looking ahead to the release of Crash Team Rumble, a 4v4 multiplayer party game that will feature a roster of heroes and villains from the long-running Crash Bandicoot series. The Crash Bandicoot franchise has changed hands several times since its debut on the original Sony PlayStation, where the main character Crash became thought of as an unofficial mascot for Sony's platform in opposition to Sega's Sonic the Hedgehog and Nintendo's Mario. Crash Bandicoot remained a PlayStation exclusive until 2001, which saw the multi-platform release of Crash Bandicoot: The Wrath of Cortex. This was the first of two mainline games developed by Traveller's Tales, after which the franchise was given to Radical Entertainment. Radical went on to develop 3 Crash Bandicoot titles, which all received a mixed critical reception. Following this, the franchise entered a 6-year hiatus that ended in 2016 with the announcement of Crash Bandicoot N: Sane Trilogy. Toys for Bob, the developer behind Crash Bandicoot N: Sane Trilogy and the upcoming Crash Team Rumble, has expressed interest in a theatrical release for the franchise after the success of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. Toys for Bob tagged Sony Pictures Animation in the tweet, and some commenters found this ironic since the Crash Bandicoot franchise is owned by Activision, which is in the process of being acquired by Microsoft, and blocked by the CMA. One can only guess at the likelihood of a Crash Bandicoot movie materializing. The cinematic intro for Crash Team Rumble gives an enticing taste of what a theatrical release would look like. As a testament to the franchise's enduring popularity, fans are still creating new levels for the original Crash Bandicoot game 27 years after it was first released. Hopefully Activision is taking note of how excited fans are at the idea. The colorful world and characters of Crash Bandicoot are potentially strong candidates for a fun and family-friendly theatrical release. And the Super Mario Bros. Movie has certainly made a strong case for the success of such ventures. Call of Duty will be turned into a tabletop board game. The task has been taken on by Arcane Wonders, a company which has already adapted video games and other types of media in the past. But the attempt to create an authentic Call of Duty board game experience seems more ambitious than most likely would expect. Arcane Wonders was founded in 2012 and one of its niches is strategic board and card games. The company has created many award-winning games, which are well known in board game enthusiast circles, such as Sheriff of Nottingham and Mage Wars Arena. Arcane Wonders has also taken on the task of adapting other mediums before. Among these titles are Hello Neighbor, the Secret Neighbor party game, which was adapted from the Hello Neighbor and Secret Neighbor video games. The company also created a board game adaptation of Rooster Teeth's RWBY series titled RWBY Combat Ready. The announcement trailer for the board game was released today by Arcane Wonders, however, it won't be funded by Activision. The president of the company, Robert Geistlinger, explained that Activision only provided the Call of Duty license, but at the end of the day, this is our experience that we're bringing to gamers. That team has kindly allowed us to use whatever tools and platforms we feel are necessary to make the best version of our game for their fans. Therefore, the game will have a Kickstarter campaign, which will launch in the late summer of this year. As is usual for Kickstarter campaigns, there will be different goals funders will be able to unlock as they aim higher and higher on the fundraising journey. There are various plans for these goals, including additional maps, modes, weapons, and pre-painted miniatures as well as zombies and co-op campaigns. The game's setting will be the rebooted Call of Duty Modern Warfare timeline. Call of Duty Modern Warfare fans will have to wait for a bit until they can either support the project on Kickstarter or see how well a game like Call of Duty will translate into a board game when the final product eventually hits store shelves. The U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals has ruled in favor of Apple following the 2021 decision on the Epic Games vs. Apple Inc. lawsuit. Despite the lawsuit being over for nearly 2 years, it continues to add to the ongoing legal tension between Apple and Epic Games, which started in 2020. These legal disputes were initially fueled when Fortnite was removed from Apple's App Store following Epic's disagreements with the App Store's policies, specifically the 30% cut that Apple takes of each transaction. Soon after, Epic filed antitrust lawsuits against both Apple and Google. The lawsuit against Apple was decided in 2021 with Epic's claims that Apple acted like a monopoly being rejected. This also led to Apple being investigated by the Competition and Markets Authority, a UK competition regulator. Apple appealed the decision on the Epic Games lawsuit the month after the ruling, and, as reported by Bloomberg, the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals ruled in Apple's favor, upholding that Apple did not violate antitrust law with its practice of banning third-party marketplaces. The appeals court also affirmed the lower court's rejection of Epic's claims that Apple had a monopoly on these transactions. The three-judge panel stated, "There is a lively and important debate about the role played in our economy and democracy by online transaction platforms with market power, but affirmed that it does not seek to come to a definitive conclusion on this discourse." 9 out of 10 claims judged by the court were determined in Apple's favor, something the company viewed as a resounding victory. However, Apple maintained that it did not agree with the decision made on the remaining claim and that it is considering further review. This could result in future legal developments, as was previously seen with the unredacted lawsuit between Epic and Google, which included allegations that Activision Blizzard was paid by Google to not open its own app store, something that was denied by both parties. In response to today's ruling, Apple said, "The App Store continues to promote competition, drive innovation, and expand opportunity, and we're proud of its profound contributions to both users and developers around the world." It also said it's considering further review of the Californian law violation. Epic may have to compensate the tech giant for its legal fees following the decision. Much of the dispute between Apple and Epic was fueled by the former company's stance on third-party marketplaces being banned on iOS devices. This was changed for European customers as the EU required Apple to allow third-party app stores on iOS devices. Although Apple has made other changes to its operations to make itself more open to third-party marketplaces, these have largely not been applied to gaming apps. With Fortnite still not being available on the App Store and the animosity between Apple and Epic still present, it remains to be seen whether fans will be able to download the game on Apple's storefront anytime soon. Epic has to pay the 30% cut to keep the game on the App Store, which Apple put its hard work to get that where it is now. The free PlayStation Plus games for May 2023 have officially been revealed, with subscribers able to claim 3 titles in May 2023. As a reminder, the free PlayStation Plus games are available to all PS Plus subscribers regardless of which tier they're signed up for, and once claimed, subscribers retain access to them as long as they remain subscribed to the service. This is in stark contrast to the games available through PS Plus Extra and Premium, which are rotated in and out of availability. Being able to keep the games forever as long as one remains subscribed to the service is a big reason why many PlayStation gamers still look forward to the free PS Plus games every month, and soon they will have 3 more titles to add to their digital library. Beginning Tuesday, May 2nd, PlayStation Plus subscribers can claim Grid Legends, Chivalry 2, and Descenders. All 3 games will have native PS4 and PS5 versions available for subscribers to claim. Grid Legends is a racing game, Chivalry 2 is a multiplayer medieval combat game, and Descenders is a cycling game. All 3 earned mostly positive reviews, but there's no denying that they're fairly niche titles and that could result in some backlash to the free PS Plus games for May 2023. PS Plus subscribers are often vocal whenever they disapprove of a month's free games offerings. Oftentimes fans get upset whenever the free games are sports or racing titles, so the free PS Plus games for May 2023 being headlined by Grid Legends is likely going to upset some fans. Others may be completely satisfied by the free game offerings, especially if they are also signed up for PS Plus Extra and Premium and therefore have even more games to look forward to in May 2023. Sony has not revealed all the new games coming to the PS Plus Extra and Premium tiers in May 2023 just yet, but it has confirmed a new Day 1 release coming to those tiers next month. Bizarre new puzzle game Humanity is coming to PS Plus Extra on the very day it releases, May 16th. So next month should still be an exciting time for PS Plus subscribers as long as they are signed up for the more expensive tiers. While it's great to see another Day 1 game come to PS Plus, May 2023 also has potential to be a rather sad month for subscribers. The PS Plus collection games are leaving on May 9th, so anyone that has yet to snag them should do so as soon as possible. And that's all for the video guys, like and share the video for a greater audience. Comment your thoughts on the topics and donations are always appreciated. Subscribe to the channel and click the bell icon, and until then from SMPV, it's goodbye.